Well, good morning. It's June 9th today, and we are in Acts 7, but actually I want to spend some time in First Kings 5, and then the psalm that we have for today as well. So I thought it was interesting that the psalm somewhat overlapped with what we had in First Kings 5. Psalm 127 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the guards stand watch in vain." It says it's a song of a song of Solomon, so maybe written by Solomon or about Solomon. Hard to say from the actual translation of that. But what I think is interesting from that First Kings 5 passage is the tremendous amount of optimism there is at the beginning of Solomon's reign, and he is going about building a house for the Lord here. So a little bit of an overlap there with the Psalm too. And I think it's interesting just the letter that's sent to Hiram, king of Tyre, up there in the north. And the response that comes back from that shows that Solomon has come a long way, or the kingdom of Israel has come a long way since Saul's day. Saul was struggling even to defend himself against the Philistines down on the plain and trying to struggle to bring all 12 of the tribes of Israel under his one control into one united kingdom. But now, just a generation or so later, you have Solomon already building this temple and having influence as far away as Tyre, which is outside of the boundaries of the Holy Land, and seems to have the respect of Hiram, just from the words that Hiram says in reply to him, the contract that they're able to make this happen for the supplies for the temple. I think it's also interesting just to hear that he tied these cedars together to float them down on the Mediterranean down to whatever port that Solomon says is suitable for him. So it just gives us a glimpse of how things were moved around at that time. Then, of course, in Acts, we also have Stephen's speech recounting the history of the Old Testament. So, quite a bit from this little section of three places in Scripture here today. And I like Stephen's recounting of history and just the things that he chooses to include and things he leaves out. And it's a very brief recounting of the faithfulness of God throughout time, and also I think highlights God's concern for people from all over the world. Stephen, I think, is a he's a diaspora Jew. He's one who's come from the outside, probably a Hellenized Jew, somebody who speaks Greek as his first language and has a different understanding of culture and even of the history of Israel. But there's a lot in common with what he's talking with his audience about, and he's going to bring up the importance of the temple, but the importance of Jesus fulfilling these ideas about the temple too. So um, that's it for today for June 9th.